38 years. That's how long it took a mailed skull with no name on the package to become the reason a man was finally arrested for his wife's murder. This is the story of Ronna Bremer, and how evidence that sat frozen for 2 decades outlived the person who was counting on it to stay silent. Ozark, Missouri, December 22, 1988. Ronna Bremer is 22 years old and 7 months pregnant. That day, her husband Joel Bremer reports her missing. Searches turn up nothing. Leads go nowhere. 3 years pass. Then, in 1991, an anonymous package arrives at the Greene County Sheriff's Office. No name, no return address. Inside, human skeletal remains. A skull, mailed by someone who has never been identified. In 1991, forensic science can confirm almost nothing beyond the obvious. These are human remains. That's all the technology of the era can tell anyone. It takes 11 more years until 2002 for DNA testing to finally catch up enough to say whose remains they are. And then the case goes quiet again. Not closed, not forgotten, just stuck, because 2002 era DNA science has nothing left to give it. The file goes back into an evidence room and stays there, technically open, practically frozen, for 22 more years. While it sits there, life goes on a few counties over. Joel Bremer is never seriously investigated. Nobody connects a domestic violence arrest already on his record, or a 2000 conviction for a sex offense, to his missing pregnant wife. November 2024. Someone pulls the file back out, not because of a tip, not a confession, but because DNA retesting technology has finally moved far enough to be worth trying again. This time it works. Modern methods extract more from that same old bone than 1991 or 2002 ever could. Investigators go back through Joel Bremer's history and find what had been sitting there in plain sight the entire time, just never cross-checked against Ronna's case. A domestic violence arrest. A 2000 conviction for a sex offense. None of it new. All of it, somehow, disconnected from her file for over 20 years. Investigators build a case. On July 31, 2026, Joel Bremer is arrested. A grand jury indicts him on 2 counts of second-degree murder, one of the counts specifically for the child Ronna never got to have. Second-degree murder, under Missouri law, means prosecutors don't have to prove the killing was planned in advance, only that it was intentional. That distinction matters for what a jury eventually has to decide. There's no confession here, no new eyewitness. The entire case rebuilds itself out of evidence that already existed, examined properly for the first time. That's the part of the story that's easy to miss. The skull mailed in 1991 already contained everything investigators needed. It just took 35 years for technology to catch up to what was already sitting in an envelope. This isn't really a story about a lucky break. It's a story about what patience looks like when it's forced onto evidence instead of a person. The case is still moving through the Missouri court system. A trial hasn't happened yet. What's public right now is the indictment, not a conviction. People hear cold case and assume it means abandoned. This case argues the opposite. Cold just means waiting for someone to come back to it with the right tools. 38 years is a long time to wait. It is not forever. Ronna Bremer was 22. She was 7 months from being someone's mother. It took 35 years for a stranger's anonymous package to finally say her name, and 3 more to say his.